Imagine being handed everything you've ever desired, only to squander it all. What would you do then? This is the question we explore today as we delve into the lives of Jonah, Fred, and Douglas. Jonah, a trust fund kid from Bel Air, was blessed with opportunities most people can only dream of. A letter of acceptance from Stanford University lay unopened on his desk, his future bright and promising. Yet Jonah yearned for something else, something more immediate, perhaps more tangible. He made the decision to claim his inheritance early, rejecting not only his place at Stanford, but also the life of privilege and responsibility that came with it. Alongside his girlfriend Susie and his bandmates, Jonah set his sights on the rainy city of Seattle. One can only imagine the dreams that filled his head as he left his home behind. As Jonah set off to Seattle, he was oblivious to the trials that lay ahead. Seattle, a city of music and dreams, became Jonah's playground and his downfall. Imagine a place where the rhythm of life is dictated by the pulsing beat of music and the fleeting high of substances. Jonah, the handsome trust fund kid, found himself immersed in this world, living out his days in the company of his girlfriend Susie and their bandmates. As the days turned into nights and the nights into forgotten memories, Jonah squandered his inheritance on these trivial pursuits. The inheritance, once a symbol of his privileged life, was now being drained away, pint by pint, high by high. His rejection of Stanford, his neglect of the opportunities and responsibilities that came with his privileged upbringing, it all led to his downfall. What was meant to be a journey of self-discovery and freedom had turned into a reckless dance with fate. In his pursuit of freedom, Jonah had lost everything. Broken and penniless, Jonah finally realized the gravity of his mistakes. It was time to return home. The bright city lights of Los Angeles seemed distant, yet familiar, as he embarked on his journey back. His heart pounded in his chest like a metronome, each beat echoing the fear of facing his father Fred and brother Douglas. Yet he knew he had to confront the wounds he'd left behind. As Jonah journeyed, his thoughts turned to the parable of the prodigal son. Like the son in that tale, he'd squandered his inheritance in a distant city, living a life of excess and disregard for the values he'd been taught. He'd turned his back on his family, his opportunities, and his responsibilities. And like that son, he was returning home, not knowing if he'd be welcomed or turned away. In his heart, Jonah made a decision. He would ask for forgiveness, not because he deserved it, but because he had come to understand the depth of his transgressions. He knew that he had betrayed not just his family, but himself and his Creator. He had traded the rich life he could have led for fleeting moments of pleasure and recklessness. With each step, Jonah felt a mix of fear and hope. Fear of rejection, of scorn, of the disapproval he knew he deserved, but also hope. Hope that he could mend the bridges he'd burned. Hope that he could learn from his mistakes. And hope that he could find a way back to the life he'd so carelessly abandoned. With a heavy heart, Jonah returned to Bel Air, ready to face the consequences of his actions. As Jonah approached his home, he was met not with anger, but with the grace of Elohim, the Creator. The once rebellious son, now humbled, was welcomed with open arms by his father Fred. Fred's eyes welled up with joy, his heart filled with relief. His son, who he thought was lost, was now found. The prodigal son had returned. Fred's love for Jonah was unconditional, mirroring the divine love of Elohim. Yet in the shadow of this joyful reunion, resentment stirred within Douglas, the older brother. He questioned his father's decision to welcome Jonah back without any repercussions. But Fred, in his wisdom, explained that it was not a time for reprimands, but a time for celebration, for his lost son had returned. The story of Jonah serves as a testament to the boundless grace of the Creator. It is a journey of self-discovery, of learning from one's mistakes, and of finding redemption. Jonah had squandered his inheritance, rejected his responsibilities, and lost his way. Yet, in his darkest hour, he realized the error of his ways and sought forgiveness. His return home was not met with the wrath he had anticipated, but with the grace of Elohim, a grace that transcends all understanding. It was a grace that forgave, healed, and restored. The story of Jonah, like the parable of the prodigal son, serves as a reminder of the boundless grace of Elohim, our Creator, and the power of forgiveness.